It's funny how the second we go live, everybody just goes quiet.
Are we live?
Yes, we're
No,
live.
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's just been sitting here in silence.
Brought to you by Arizona Tea. The teaest of teas.
Indeed.
That's another thing we can talk about. I forgot
Tea?
about that.
What,
No.
Arizona tea?
No, that silly Red Bull thing came out finally.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome.
I tried to find that.
It was on Twitter.
Oh, that's why I couldn't.
Who goes
find
there?
Hmm?
I said, who goes there?
Yeah, really.
All right, I'm ready when you guys are.
I'm ready.
right.
I'm ready.
It's dangerous to go alone. That's why we're here. Welcome to Making Geeks Podcast, a podcast for makers, dads, and geeks, episode 139. What's up, guys?
Hey, stranger.
Hello.
Hi.
I remember you.
It's been a while. Almost, 3 weeks now, I think?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought both of us got replaced last week.
Yeah.
I know. It is a weird, almost out-of-body experience editing the show without being part of it.
I was going to ask how that went. Yeah.
It was weird because I think I had done 136 episodes without missing one, or without not being part of it.
Yeah.
And then 2 in a row where I wasn't part of it. And at so many different points, I wanted to kind of chime in and say something. I'm like, I'm editing. I can't really contribute this way. I almost thought about dubbing in my voice or me contributing, but
Yeah,
That'd
like
be fun.
voice in the narrator.
that was too much work. I didn't want to do that. So
Like
I
Wonder
just
Years.
edited it. Yeah.
It's funny. There are people that that are in the live podcast that make that same sentiment. They're like, "Oh, I have so much to contribute to this conversation." It's like, I remember being that guy in the audience, just being like, "Hey, I have so much to contribute to this conversation."
All they have to do is fill out the contact page, and they can contribute that way. It might be a little bit late, but we'll get all the responses.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're in the live chat on YouTube, I mean, we're reading that right now. So if you have something to contribute, be part of the present. You can hop on there at, what time is it now? 9:40? So about 9:30, 9:40 every Thursday. That's Eastern Time, PM in the United States. And you can be part of the conversation.
It's a good plug.
Right?
We should get a 1-800
Seamless.
number.
Ooh, we can call in.
Yeah,
Like
call in, leave a
1-800.
message.
I love new carpet.
So it's been a couple of weeks. What's everybody been up to?
Wes is wet.
I'm
Why are
wet.
you wet?
Well, all right, I'll start off. I had a good run with repairing stuff around the house, taking my own advice from a couple weeks ago when we were like, we should not be afraid of taking on a challenge of, doing something a little bit out of your comfort zone. You might surprise yourself as far as being able to repair this or that. You just look it up, do some research. And since that conversation, I repaired my lawnmower, which I have no small engine repair experience, but I replaced the carburetor. It worked perfectly the first pull. After that, I was pretty impressed with myself.
Good job.
And it's like a almost 20-year-old mower. So we're like, oh, it's probably time or whatever. And bam, works. It was a $10 part on Amazon. And I was just like, okay, perfect.
There you
So
go.
I was jazzed up from that. And then, of course, a couple days later, something else breaks. Oh, the garage door. Oh, it's binding when it's starting to come down and go up. And it's go all freaking out and stuff. And come to find out, 2 of the panel, the horizontal doors, that make up the door, the panels, they were cracked in the middle. So as it was going up, they were flexing and causing it to bind. So I looked it up online. Guy had a YouTube video exactly the same problem. He took some aluminum angle iron and stuff, or I guess it's not iron, but aluminum angle.
Chemistry.
Yes, and some aluminum box tubing. I think that's what it's called. Different kinds, and kind of situated in different ways to sort of reinforce those regions, and worked. It's sweet, saved in lawnmower repair or replacement because we were considering just buying another one outright. Garage door maintenance is never cheap. When you call someone out, it's at least $100 for them to show up. They would probably have said replace the doors. Those are major components of the door itself. So So I got a double out of that. So tonight, this afternoon, we were doing some stuff outside. Samantha and I, we were doing some cement concrete work. We were like fixing some steps out near our playground. Some of them have like, it's kind of hard to describe, but basically we had to fill in areas with cement or concrete to kind of make it level so you couldn't trip as you go down the steps. There's like sunken in bricks and stuff. And so we were doing that for a while all day, and it was pretty fun. She was like leveling the stuff out and mixing it. We were like trying to mix the colors. We were getting like red brick kind of colored concrete, and got all, you know, a bunch of stuff from Lowe's. Of course, we didn't get enough. We went back. You know, she got the experience of going back to the big box store when you're like, oh, this will be enough. Never, you know, wise words. And so we're doing that, and of course, we're using the garden hose from the side of the house in the spigot, and I go into the basement for something, and I hear this like hissing sound. From like as soon as I open the door to come in the basement, I'm like, great, what is that? And I go downstairs, and I'm following my ears, and it leads to the hot water heater, and it's a gas hot water heater. I'm like, it sounded like gas hissing, and so I like open it reluctantly. I don't smell gas, but it's getting louder, and I look around with like my phone flashlight, and there's like water pooling underneath the hot water heater, and basically the other side of that pipe that goes outside, something happened with it, and it's like super loose now, and it's like shooting out in between the vapor barrier and like along we have like the hot water heater in like a little closet in the basement, and it's like shooting like drywall, making the drywall wet, and it's like seeping out from the other side, and it was just man. Okay, this isn't good. How long has it been doing this, you know? And so I ended up like turning off the water to the house from the outside, and of course we looked up the plumbing stuff, and it's like polybutylene piping, which they don't make anymore. You can't. It's like the gray piping. They stopped making it or using in houses in like the mid '90s, which is right when our house was made, and it's got like a gray hose or gray pipe pieces, and then in between all the connectors are like copper pieces. And it's sort of like an amalgamation. It's weird. Yeah. So I go to Lowe's and look it up online. And like, oh, they don't make this stuff anymore. So I'm looking at all the PEX fittings. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know someone that did some PEX videos, you know, like.
Your house is going to explode because you used PEX fittings.
Right. I was thinking that. So I got this piece, and basically I found the connection. I basically had to put a cap on that connector that goes out to the house, outside the house, but it's like in line of the water heater. So like one hose goes and it splits into the outside, and then the inlet of the water heater, the cold water inlet. And so I disconnected this piece and looked to plug that piece in there after like draining all the water out, which that was, I just lost connection to them.
You're good.
Here? I lost the video.
We can hear you. We can see you.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. So I take the piece off, and water starts coming out, and I already turned the water off, but it got to the point where it was like spraying everywhere before I get the plug piece on, and I ended up basically just holding my finger in it, like the boy putting his finger in the dike. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm stuck here. Catherine's putting the kids to bed. I'm in the basement. All right. So I was like, cell phone? I was like, okay, Google. Okay, Google. It was like in my pocket, like around the other side of my body where I couldn't reach very well because it's like a tight area to begin with to get in. I'm like in between a wall, basically. I'm like, okay, Google. Okay, Google.
Here are the top search results.
Oh, thanks. Now you respond, you stupid. I was listening to music, so I guess it was not responding because it was too loud or whatever, and that wouldn't work. So I finally managed to get it out, and I was like swipe typing with my finger. And I was like, hey, I got my finger in the dam. I need some help. I can't move. So we get like buckets. Oh, I think that's enough. Nope. Still coming out. And basically it's the entire house worth of water above me that's like draining out. And
oh man.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, get the garden hose from the outside. I'll like kind of hang it in there just enough. It'll go out. Make sure you like take the garden hose and go out to the backyard and like go down a hill, you know, to sort of help it out. Nope. There was some kink in the hose. It had been sitting outside for like all winter. So that this piece of junk, and it was like start spraying everywhere, going crazy. And I'm like, put my finger back on. My finger's starting to hurt. I had to switch hands, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is not going well. And so Catherine remembered that there was like a piece of hose that we used for like a dehumidifier in like the basement bathroom as like part of the drain for the dehumidifier. And so she had the idea of taking that and kind of connecting it and then draining it into like a large trash can. So we do that, and it slowed down, but it was still coming out. And I think it was like the hot water was like back flowing up out of the cold water, so my hands started getting warm. And this was the cold water inlet for the hot water heater. It was just this big mess, right? And I'm just like, water is actually increasing the flow. And she goes upstairs and opens up all the valves on like the sink and everything to kind of let the finger off the top of the straw, so like the rest of the water comes out and there wouldn't be any more water left, theoretically. Nope, it just kept coming. We had to like switch buckets, and it was just she went upstairs, like messed with the spigots, and like the reservoir that it was draining into was like increasing. And I'm stuck here holding the hose up to it, so I have one arm and I can't reach it. I'm like, oh, hope she gets back in time. Well, meanwhile, like a whole right side of my body is drenched, and the fitting that I had, I tried it, and it was too big. The end cap. And I'm like, no. I'm trying to put it up there while it's still spraying me in the face. It's just not working. So we end up like duct taping the hose up in that area so that it hangs in just right orientation to drain out. She's like, I'll watch the reservoirs. I'll switch them out. I run to Lowe's. I'm like, scratch my head. I get like the next thing I think will work, and then a backup plan.
There you go.
Because they're closing in like 10 minutes. And I got to get to the podcast. That's when I was messaging you guys like, hey, there's a plumbing emergency. I might not make it. That's not a euphemism for anything.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's not sewage. So, to give you an idea of what I'm dealing with. So I get back, and it's still the water is still draining out from when I left, like 20 minutes before that. I'm like, where is it coming from? What's happening? And it's coming out at a slower rate now, so I can like put the plug in there, and I'm like, I hope this works. And I push it in the copper fitting, and it's like off, like instantly.
Oh yeah, those shark bite fittings.
It was
besides killing everyone in your house and lighting it on fire and causing nuclear war, work really, really well.
I was like,
that.
Wow, that. And she was like, that was it. I'm like, I guess.
Yep.
I guess. Turn the water back on, and I'm gonna check it after the podcast and see if there's any drips for me. So that was basically a stopgap until like we're out of town this weekend, so I'm gonna come, do something with the actual problem later. But yeah, that was a fun ordeal I had. Like a Chevy Chase movie or something.
It was so surprising how divisive that those shark bite, like push to connect whatever fittings that we used in Bob's bathroom. Some people are like, those are the greatest things ever. We use them all the time. And some people are like, those things are going to fail tomorrow. And it's going to ruin your entire house. What other choice do
you have? Like I went there. Exactly. There was no other choice at Lowe's. They don't sell the pipe I use anymore because it's discontinued. All the fittings are discontinued.
Well, you should have called a plumber, and then you should have sweated that copper pipe with some silver solder and a blowtorch, which totally wouldn't have worked in that environment.
You're not bitter at all about this, are you?
I am bitter as salty pickle lemonade when it comes to those stupid shark bite fittings.
I almost messaged you to say like, "Hey, has Bob's house flooded yet?" Before I bought the stuff, but I was like, "No,
Bob's house has already exploded," and then the wet, soggy ashes have all collapsed in on themselves.
Yeah,
we record in a stunt house because every project he makes has lit it on fire multiple times. This is probably our 27th house we've occupied thus far.
My gosh.
Each project is a larger catastrophic failure than the previous one.
The pottery wheel is going to decapitate someone too.
The pottery wheel is going to come flying off and castrate you as you're trying to make a pot.
Helicopter across the room.
But no, we made an employee orientation video for April Fool's Day.
Amazing.
That was awesome. Yeah.
That was so much fun. That was 4B came up, so we had the four of us in town, and we all just kind of, that was all of us. That was all of our creativity. Like, we can all point to little silly inside jokes and little silly things that we made, and even like when Anthony edited that video, so as the day that we posted it, there's stuff that Bob and I didn't even know that was in the video that he had to point out to us, and we start laughing on the floor. Like, yeah, if people haven't seen it, it's an April Fool's Day video, obviously, but it's like you were hired at I Like to Make Stuff, and this is your VHS tape that you have to watch from HR, and it was so much fun.
Tape 1 of 57.
Yeah. We actually lit the floor on fire accidentally. So in the shot, like when Anthony introduces himself, he knocks over a cup of coffee and his computer lights on fire. Like we actually lit the computer on fire, and it was with like a pool of rubbing alcohol, but it like dripped off the side and like caught the part of the table, and I'm like, oh crap! And I tried to put the fire out with a paper towel that was soaked in rubbing alcohol, and so it was like all in my hand, and I just kind of threw it on the ground and tried to stomp it out, and it like burned a hole in the carpet. It was super silly and super fun. Yeah.
Oh man.
Which is funny because the thing that actually may have lit the house on fire was not shark bite fittings or stupid little things like that people claim that will kill everyone. It was actually fire. Who do you know? What do you think?
If only you had a leaky PEX fitting, it could put it out.
That's right. Go get the crappy shark bite fitting to put the fire out.
That's the new fire repression system.
Yep. But see, with that, I'm gonna put stunt coordinator on my resume now.
Point taken.
Yep. So last week I put out a video, my first video I think in probably almost 3 months, and it shows because it has almost no views, which is fine. But at least I got it out.
I viewed it,
and I appreciate that. I mean, it has a couple views, but probably about a fourth of what I would normally get in just regular traffic, which still isn't a whole lot. But you know, I think I have to kind of expect that when I haven't been putting anything out for about 3 months. But then I just finished filming a second video today, and I'm already halfway through the edit. So I'm hoping to get some momentum again with releasing videos. So I'm trying to put more time into that, and this is my spring break, so I have a little bit more time, but not a whole lot. So, how about you, Donovan?
Well, I say this while coughing. I was sick, but I'm not sick anymore. So I did my Tuesday takeaway video for the Spider-Man headphone stand, which looks different because I went back and watched some of my old Takeaway Tuesday videos, and I'm like, oh, the lighting is just terrible. So trying to mix it up a little bit with the lighting. And then I'm finishing up my Slurm sign. I decided the only thing I have left to do is paint, but I decided to backlight it with an extra LED strip that I have. And so I need to route a little track in the back of it to put the LED strip in, and then it won't be done by tomorrow, but it will be done soon. So that video will be out. And then it's ironic that last time, well, not you guys, but Wes and I and Alex were talking about how I have a tendency of like shoehorning projects in between projects that I have planned. And that has happened. Because I was going to start working on a Game Boy bar top arcade, but the design got a little too complicated when trying to replicate the old DMG, and it's been done a lot of times, and so I'm like, okay, how can I make this unique but still be a Game Boy bar top arcade? And so I tried doing it with a Game Boy Pocket, but I couldn't figure out like a not cheesy way of being able to set the Game Boy up and have it kind of go back or have like a built-in stand. It just got too complicated. And so I was looking at CAD files for old Game Boys and saw the Game Boy Advanced SP.
Right.
Yes.
Yep, with the hinge.
Which I never had. That's one that I never had. But I was like, there you go. Like
perfect.
That's like the perfect. Up. Yeah, it stands itself up. You've got the buttons right there. The layout and everything would be perfect. You have the storage slot for where the cartridge would go. Like everything would fit in it. It could fold in and on itself. It could be portable. I'm like, this is my answer right there. And so I have to start the process over of figuring out how to jumbo size a Game Boy Advanced SP to make it a bar top arcade. So in the meantime, I am starting on a baby gate that's going to be a Gandalf baby gate because within the last few days, my baby's like, okay, I'm going to start crawling now.
And you said,
I'm like,
you shall not pass.
Yep. And so I'm going to make a baby gate that has like a little laser cut Gandalf and you shall not pass, like right on the baby gate. And the other day when I wasn't at home, my wife wanted to hang a like one of those mosquito curtains for our door, and she needed a screwdriver, and she couldn't find my screwdriver in my Craftsman tool chest organizer bin thing. And so she's like, you need to get rid of that. And because she got so frustrated trying to find a screwdriver to put this thing in. And so I got to get rid of that. And I was like, okay, well, what can I do for like tool storage? And so I was looking around for different ideas, and I was going through my stuff, and I have no idea where I got this thing from. But it's this, I don't know, this map of Hyrule. It's a rendition of it that I've never seen before, and I've tried to Google image search it, and I've never, like, I can't find a duplicate of this map of Hyrule. It's like a tea napkin or something. Cannot remember where I got this from, but I found it, and I was like, what if I made a storage cabinet that's like, I don't know, 4 feet by 4 feet, that has doors that open, and on the face of the doors I do a map of Hyrule, and then I could do Master Sword pull handles, and then open it up and have all of my tools. And so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm starting that project tomorrow.
Shoehorned.
Shoehorned. Yes. Every time. So
let me look in my Zelda book for that map.
Yeah,
it's a my
cool
Legend of Zelda encyclopedia.
It's detailed. The only problem is if it's going to be 4 foot by 4 foot, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Whether I'm going to like wood burn it by hand, or I've started making friends with one of the workers at Fab Lab, and I almost want to go and say, hey, you know how to run that shop bot. I don't. If I give you a picture, can you make that thing do this thing? And then fill it with acrylic. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I do have this as a start. I'm super excited. I think it's going to be cool. I thought about doing Westeros because at the Art of Geek Challenge, the theme for this month is what's that thing? Game of Thrones. But I've never seen it, and so I'm like, it wouldn't make sense to have Westeros as the permanent face of my tool cabinet for a show that I've never seen. So when I found that, it was just kind of perfect, and it clicked. So yeah, that's what I've been up to until next week when I tell you guys about another project that got shoehorned in between those two.
Decided to make a life-size boat.
Gosh.
So in this encyclopedia, that map is like the back cover. People can't see this at home.
See, it's not that map though. It's not. I don't know.
It's a very Middle Earthy looking map.
It is a very.
I actually thought it was Middle Earth.
Map of Hyrule, and then it has hieroglyphics under it. That's I don't know. Like I said, cannot remember where I got this from. There's a key in the top left corner. I don't even know what that's from. Is that even Zelda?
Well, it's like a dungeon key, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
There's not like a copyright date or anything?
No, there's nothing.
Huh.
Look on Etsy. Somebody might have made it. Printed a couple.
Puerto Deserts, Lorna's Domain.
Bootleg map.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool. Like I said, I haven't been able to find a replica of it anywhere, but I'm going to use it. I wish I could credit, its source, but.
So we thought we would take this episode to kind of catch up since Sean's been gone the last 2 episodes, I was gone last week. Kind of catch everybody up on where we've been, why we've been absent, whether or not we have a note to make this an excused podcast absence. So, Sean, you went out to Matter Hackers, right? You got to hang out there?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago I went to a meetup at Matter Hackers, which was pretty cool because I've never been out there before. They are about an hour and change away from where I live, but I thought it was worth the trek, especially now that I've started into 3D printing. I thought I could.
You want to describe real quick, like what Matter Hackers is known for?
Yeah, so Matter Hackers is a company that sells printers as a third party, but they also do have their own printer that they promote called the Pulse. I would say they probably specialize a little bit more in filament and specialized filament. And we know a couple people that have done some pretty big projects for them in the past year or so, being Josh and Bob from I Like to Make Stuff. I think the first project...
Yeah, literally pretty big.
Yeah, I was saying that intentionally. I think the first thing was the foosball table that Bob did, and then Josh, you and Bob did the Perfection game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a nice little in at Matter Hackers because I didn't actually plan it this way to start talking to people and kind of make contact with what I do in schmoozing.
Yeah.
So I was there and they what was it? They had like a taco guy outside. It was they provided food. The CEO of one of the 3D printing companies there called P.O. Poly, that is a really big format SLA printer. That was kind of the reason for the meetup to begin with, is kind of introduce and show people the printer and kind of like gain interest in that. So as all of that was going on, I was looking around the Perfection game because Josh specifically told me that he wrote poop on there somewhere. So I was at the meetup looking for poop.
You're not going to find it.
So one of the reps, her name's Mara, comes up to me and goes, "You have a lot of interest in that." And she was asking me, what was I looking for? And I said, well, Josh told me he wrote poop somewhere. She goes, "Oh, Josh," and that's kind of what started the whole thing. So I talked with her a little bit, and she put me in contact with a couple different people. But it was a pretty fun little event, and I've been around like. I've been a maker for a couple of years now, so I've seen 3D printers in action other than one that I own, but I haven't seen a lot of the demo things they have around the office that people have created.
Oh, they got a bunch.
They have a bunch and some like really impressive stuff. I had some of it on my Instagram story, like a 3D printed. It was a scale model though, like a jet turbine.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty impressive. They had helmets that were printed, and I've seen pictures of all these things online, on Instagram, on YouTube. I've never seen a lot of this stuff up close. And it was really cool seeing all of that. And what else was I going to say? Just a lot of the machines that I've only seen pictures of, I haven't seen, really close up face to face. And that was really cool to see too. They must have had 30 or so printers that were running at the same time, everybody printing something different. Because everybody in their cubicle had their own 3D printer and they were testing with it, and just
how did that smell?
Strangely enough, it didn't.
Yeah.
Really?
They all print with PLA, so I mean it doesn't really have an odor.
I mean, when the PLA heats up, it does have a little bit of a scent, but it's not overpowering. And the air was running in the offices and everything. It wasn't much of an issue.
It smelled like an office.
Yeah, I think there's more odor from the 50 people that were crammed in the small office space.
But they have a thing there that I was pretty surprised about, because they have the Pulse, the printer that they make. And so all of their prototype machines they have in the kind of cubicle farm where like the sales people and the marketing people all work. And Matter Hackers allows them to just like make their own stuff for profit. Mm-hmm. And so there were a couple people that were in their like sales division or whatever that had Etsy side businesses where they would make little cosplay things, or one girl made like custom Mickey Mouse ears and stuff that you could buy, and she printed them all there. And she was like, "Yeah, this is for my business." And coming from like a big corporation like Lockheed, like that was a conflict of interest. Like, oh my God, you can't work on your stuff on company time. But it makes them more familiar with the product and more confident in the product that they sell whenever they can print whatever they want. And it was kind of neat seeing people that had zero printing experience, making all kinds of little things to make their life better.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I talked to a couple of people that worked for Matter Hackers. One was a girl that just started in marketing, and she was still learning about all the 3D printing stuff. So she was listening to all the conversations that were happening in line when we were in line to get food. So I picked her brain on a couple of things too. And one of the coolest things that happened that night is, well, one, I got put in contact with a couple of teachers who are pretty close to the area that I teach in, who do a podcast, who are really close to the maker movement too. So I have more local contacts for 3D printing that I didn't have before. And then I think the coolest thing of the night was there was an 84-year-old guy there that was there trying to learn about 3D printing because he had an idea for an invention. He thought that 3D printing was a way to go to actually prototype some of this stuff. So we talked probably like 15, 20 minutes, and just the fact that this guy, knowing nothing about this field, nothing about 3D modeling, had enough of an interest to come to this meetup and try to find out what he could learn and what he could do. And I don't know, I was kind of inspired by that totally. In a lot of ways. Yeah. So, I'll probably go to the next meetup they have and hopefully have a whole lot of the reason for going out there and asking questions and see what else. And hopefully my proposal for the project I want to do with them will actually be ready to actually pitch next time.
Can you pitch it here, or is it hush hush?
No, it's not hush hush. I have a couple, I guess for lack of a more specific term, attachments for my prosthetic leg that I want to do, and I want to partner with them for hopefully with testing different kind of filament for what I want it to do. And I'm really interested in their pulse printer, so I'm want to see what I might be able to pursue there as well.
Well, speaking of Mara and Dave, this is a good segue. I saw them this past weekend. So that was 2 weeks ago. You were there, right?
Yes.
And so this past weekend, they were at the Midwest Rip Rap Festival at Murph in Indiana. And that's where I was. And I was hanging out with Dave and Mara for a little while. But it's like a massive... I underestimated the popularity of this 3D printing festival in the middle of the Amish countryside in northern Indiana, a hotbed of rapid prototyping and additive manufacturing, apparently. But I guess that the festival started with these two guys in their garage. They liked 3D printing, and every year more people came, and so they rented out this hall in the 4-H fairgrounds. And there was a livestock auction going on next door that I could have bought a pig for $30. And I thought that was a good deal. I'm not sure if it was.
Depends on the size of the pig.
Yeah. But there were like industry professionals there, like debuting some things. There were just, and like I say, enthusiasts. This is like, if people like board games, this is like the D&D level people. Like, oh, I like 3D printing, it's neat. Or I watch YouTube videos. Like, these are the people that are the underground subculture that it is 3D printing is their life. Like, I make things on a printer for a living, and I felt like, dude, I am nothing in this place. Like, you guys have your own culture. And it was impressive to see because just like the woodworking community or the maker community, like they are a deep-seated niche that knows their lane, and few people venture out. Like a couple of people understood what I like to make stuff was, and not that it was just some declaration on my badge. Not that we're mega popular and everybody should know who we are, but I mean in the maker community, I mean people kind of understand what it is, and they're like, yeah, I don't know what that means.
Interesting.
It was neat. And I went with Joel Telling and his cameraman Sean. I stayed in their room, and so we hung out. Cool. And Joel is the 3D printing nerd. He was one of our past guests. So if you like 3D printing, go listen to that show. But he was a god among men in that place. He was their overlord.
That's his Woodstock.
It was very fun to see. Yeah. So I got introduced to a lot of new cool filament that I had never seen before because I like to make stuff.
Oh, your multicolored magic filament looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The chameleon. What is it? Is it like called chameleon coloring or something?
No, it's
like
not
that?
called anything. Like, seriously, this company is made by like 3 people in Indiana in their garage.
Wow.
So it's on a cardboard spool back there. If you can't see, well, my microphone's in the way, but it's on my printer right now, and it's like you're printing with a candy cane. So if you were to look down like a cross section, it's like 3 separate colors, each one of them equal in like a pie chart.
Huh.
And so when it prints in a just smushed up combination of those 3 colors, and you can get them to make custom color blends. And so they had like oranges and whites and pinks and silvers and like all these different amazing cool color combinations. And I asked them which one they were most proud of, and they the guy and the lady that were there, the company's called Philoblend, by the way, they like perked up and they're like, oh, there's this one, and they like pulled it out from underneath a pile. And he was like, are you going to print with this today, or are you going to like take it home and keep it? I'm like, well, I might take it home. He's like, oh, we might shrink wrap it for you so it doesn't get exposed to the moisture. He's like, because we made this one this morning and we just haven't wrapped it yet. I'm like, you made that this morning? He's like, oh yeah, we made it this morning and brought a bunch of them here. I'm like, well,
is a filament extruder in his garage or something?
Yeah, you can buy, not apparently, like I've seen it, you can buy your own, like make your own filament kind of setup. It'll cost you, I think, around $1,000 for all of that, but like,
it's not bad.
Is it worth the effort kind of thing?
Right.
But like they do really cool stuff with it, and you can buy stuff online. You can get a custom color blend if you wanted it. I was very impressed.
What does the like 1K roll go for?
I think it's like $35.
It's not that bad for as unique as it is. Yeah.
Right. It's really comparable for most filaments.
So if anybody listening hasn't seen it, it's a very iridescent type of filament that reflects a lot of light and looks almost metallic.
Well, it really depends on what you're printing with it. Where do other pieces go? But like, here's the vase. So if you're watching the YouTube video, this is just a combination of 3 different colors: green, blue, red, and blue.
Sick.
Red.
The camera doesn't even do it justice, though.
So yeah, on my printer right now, if I were to cut it up, it looks like kind of a candy cane.
Huh.
So yeah, it's great. And that was with all of the like really big name filament brands were there. Proto Pasta was there making cool stuff, which I got some of their stuff in like a sample pack, which is normally at Bob's place we print in black because we either use Matter Hacker stuff that they kind of gave us, which is like blacks and grays that we ask for, or now we've been getting stuff off Amazon. You can get Amazon Basics PLA for like $20-something, and it's prime shipping, and it prints really great too.
Really?
So like the possibilities of things you can print with, there's this crazy teal stuff I have here that's all shimmery shiny called Mermaid's Tail. Like, it's super beautiful. There's stuff I got here that is made out of recycled coffee grounds. So like when you print with it, it smells like coffee. They have one that smelled like beer. And so it's just, I make very functional things that solve problems, and everybody there just made cool stuff that
for the sake of making it
fun. Yeah. And like that is still kind of foreign for me in this particular field. Like,
yeah.
So it's really neat to get out of like, oh, I made a thing in shiny, crazy colors just because the colors are pretty, not because this thing had to latch properly or fit in a certain diameter. Like, it's pretty. So it's neat.
You said people were asking about me. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. Do you know Garrett from Chaos Cortec?
Yep.
Yeah. So if anybody listening to this doesn't know Garrett from Chaos Cortec, you should look him up on YouTube or look him up on Twitter, because he is a 3D modeler. He has day jobs, and it's he and his wife. His wife works at a bakery, and she finishes and prints all of his like Fusion 360 models. He does amazing work.
Yep.
Did like the Zelda Master Sword, a full size, like screen accurate. He did a set from Beauty and the Beast. Did Cogsworth and Mrs. Potts in a little cup chip.
Yeah.
Like he did a Buzz Lightyear, like, and he's modeling all these things. He did the Iron Giant, one of my absolute favorite models, and it's big. And they laughed that they wanted to send it to me because it's too big and they don't want it in their house anymore. But like, They were just super nice and genuine people.
Yeah, I met him 2 years ago at Bay Area Maker Faire, and
Yeah,
we hit it off because I mentioned I worked at Epic on Gears of War, and he was like, "What?" It was like apparently one of his favorite games ever, so that started off a whole train. So yeah, he's a super nice guy.
Yeah, I was talking to people about Sean, the printer that you have, the Ender.
Yes.
I talked to a guy about how to make that printer print better than the Prusa, and things that we're printer snobs that I like to make stuff. We have printers that Matter Hackers has supplied most of them, and so we don't like fiddle with them. We're not like car guys for printers, which that whole amphitheater full of people were like car guys for 3D printers. So like we turn it on, I load the thing because it's a tool for me. It's not. I don't want to put the Holly barrel carburetor or whatever on it. Like I don't care. I just want it to work. And those people don't. They dive super deep into the minutia of 3D printing, and it was impressive and still quite intimidating.
I had a couple guys message me. One of the guys' name is Matthew. I was on one of their podcasts a couple weeks ago, and he said that there's an East Coast one, like in Maryland, and he's like, "Hey, you guys should come to that. It's closer to you." I calculated it, and it's during Samantha's track out in October, so I might go to that. And then, of course, the organizer for that one, since he tagged them in the tweet as well, they're like, "Hey," and he like calculated the distance from Cary, since I have Cary in my profile on Twitter, and it showed like the little Google Maps. He's like, "Hey, it's not too far." I'm like, "Oh, Jesus." Getting it from both ends here, but yeah.
Murph, and that's Earth, as they affectionately call these things.
Earth.
Murph was packed.
Nice.
Like they have to get. I mean, we're at the 4-H whatever fairgrounds thing, and it was super busy. So they talked about. I think they sent out a tweet after the fact saying that they're going to like quadruple the space.
Wow.
Yeah. So be prepared for it to be busy.
Sweet.
Josh, you mentioned about making functional items. Don't you have a functional item to talk about that you worked on recently for a pretty big name client?
Oh yeah, that's funny because I was like, crap, what did I talk about? Because there's some stuff that we're working on that we can't talk about, and I'm like, did I talk about that? I shouldn't have talked about that. Oh no, that was so Red Bull, or actually the production company that makes videos for Red Bull, reached out to Bob and I and asked if we wanted to help out with this Red Bull project, and Bob doesn't have time, and I do a lot of the 3D modeling and stuff, so he was like, well, ask Josh, he might do it. So they paid me to design and print they asked for a thing that will carry a Red Bull can under a drone, was I think the brief that I got. And they said it would hang by like some fishing line underneath, and they're going to deliver a can to an athlete.
Athlete.
Yeah, so they sent me like a Thingiverse model, and it's just like a cap. Like if you were going to put an open Red Bull in the refrigerator, I guess, kind of like a Tupperware lid. I'm like, well, that's stupid. I don't want to make that. That's dumb. I was like, it needs to be like a crane looking thing. So I made it, printed out some prototypes. I actually bought a Red Bull can. I think I talked about that on here where it felt like a wiener walking through the grocery store with like a single Red Bull can. Well, that's why. So it came out, and apparently the athlete was Ninja, the esports athlete who plays Fortnite, makes a bunch of money. I guess he was the first sponsored esports athlete, which, holy crap, that's a sentence of 2019 if I ever heard one.
Yeah, it is.
But they made a can with like his face or something on it, and so that's how they were revealing the can to him, as they used a little crane thingy that I designed and printed, and it worked. So it was kind of dope.
Is he the first one to have his face on a Red Bull can? I don't know if I've ever seen a promotional one before like that.
I bet Wheaties wasn't going to do it, so they had to do it somewhere else. No, but it was kind of cool. Like, the project managing part of me thought it was kind of neat because like their advertising company and then this whole video production company and then the talent and all the moving pieces to this thing just so they could reveal this can. And it's kind of funny that like I didn't notice it until I actually saw the video. I'm like, that whole thing was literally dangling from a thing that I made.
Yeah.
Like, that thing could have fallen on the floor. Like, if it didn't work the way that I designed it to work, like, it could have ruined that entire thing for a bunch of people. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat.
I saw the picture. I'm like, I know the guy that made that.
So now I'm going to add
That's cool.
prop maker.
Right?
There you go.
To your resume.
Resume.
Thanks, Fusion 360.
Yep.
That's super cool, man.
Man, I haven't been to anything last couple.
Well, what are we going to be at,
Yes, do tell.
Donovan?
Well, for those of you that haven't heard, by either Wes or I posting on Instagram, we are going to be presenting at Bay Area Maker Faire. Hopefully not on Sunday. But yeah, we are doing a panel called From Pop Culture to Prop Culture. I had to read that about 14 times for realizing that it was different words. Because I was like, pop culture to pop culture.
Like,
There's
man.
got to be a typo here somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, we're doing a panel called Pop Culture to Pop Culture, which is basically talking about bringing pop culture into the real world through making, whether it's like Josh 3D printing or Sean 3D printing or me by, woodworking ? Or Wes by
By casting
saw.
cement crap? I mean, yeah.
Like,
We all have our
yeah.
own things.
by Wes who does everything. I mean, yeah. That's
Oh,
what we're going to talk about.
I was proud of the
I'm-
title. I was proud
Yeah.
of it. I was
Yeah,
like,
I liked
I did
it.
something cool. I thought it was cool. It's
It's-
kind of cheesy,
it's nice.
but I like it.
Yeah.
From virtual to reality.
Yeah. Which is what I thought it should have said
Right.
instead of what it did say.
Yeah, it'll be the first time all of us get together. All the new
Mhm.
members, the new cast.
Yep.
And I think all the significant others will get together for the first time ever, period.
Yep.
That'll be interesting.
Tiff finally broke down. Catherine, I think, was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yep, I was like, hey, Catherine, you need to, like... Tiffany's on the fence, and you need to either, like, pull her on our side of the fence or just push her off, one way or the other. So, it sounds like she did, which is good.
Yep. It'll be a lot of fun. This is my third or Wes, this is third or fourth year that we're going. I lost track.
Fourth.
Is it fourth already?
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy crap.
This will be my second.
This would be my first. Well, I mean, to Bay Area.
I think it's the
Right,
fourth.
the Bay Area.
I forget now.
Yeah.
So the content creator stage that they started last year was a smashing success. Instead of people just meandering about, they gave the YouTube and podcast and Instagram, all those people that are really big on social media, like there's a stage dedicated for all those people to speak about something or to do a podcast, and then have a little area off to the side to kind of schmooze. And then they carried that idea from Bay Area that we were at, and they did it again at New York Maker Faire, and it was more.
Was
So
it?
I'm imagining that this is going to be more because it worked. But yeah,
And Josh, you're going to be extra busy because you found out you're in what, 3 different talks that day or
yeah,
that weekend?
I'm on 3 different panels, but 2 of the panels are kind of the same thing. So I'm on this panel with Making Geeks, the one that we talked about. Where was that? It was either New York. No, it was at Maker Faire last year at Bay Area, I think. About the people that work with and work for YouTubers and how that line is kind of blurred. I think that was originally what it was supposed to be called, like, is it working with or working for? But it's supposed to be me and Brett McAfee, who works with Jimmy DiResta, and then Dan, the camera guy that works with David Picciuto, and a couple other people. And so it's yeah, so it's all the people that work with, like, your favorite YouTubers. And then the 4 of us that I like to make stuff are going as like a company trip. So they decided to give us a panel too. So now it's what it's going to be like, all 4 of us working together that I like to make stuff. So that's 3 different things that I'm going to be talking about, which is fun. I'll let everybody else speak.
You know, it's really kind of funny how, was it about a year and a half ago, Josh, you were looking at kind of avoiding YouTube and making all together, at least directly, and then now you're really in the
Thrust
thick of
into
it now. Yep.
Well, it's funny. I still have that same sentiment. I get subscribers to my YouTube channel probably every day, and I don't put anything on it. I have no desire to put anything on it.
Donovan.
No, it's not like an astronomical amount, but I have 4,000 YouTube subscribers, and I haven't
More
put
than
out
me.
a video in a year. But I think but hold on, before you start head smacking, I think it's still a lot of RV people, because people ask me every day, every other day about RV stuff, and it makes me upset. So I think proving my point from...
And yet you keep it up.
I don't.
Donovan, you need an RV.
No, God, you don't.
At this point, I am desperate enough that I will get one.
Don't do that. But I think it just solidifies my resolve to not, because my audience changed, and I did not want to cater to that audience. And now that they're asking me questions all the time, I'm like, I really, really don't care about that RV. Please don't ask me any questions about it, because they're not going to be good. But yeah, I am still very focused on making the thing, and then if I have to show it on camera, or if I have to be on camera to explain it, I will. But I just want to solve the problem. That makes my heart happy. Not that I show the world how I did it. I'll very happily hand it over to Bob, and I go, use collective pronouns if you really want to. It's up to you. But I think I think I might do a bits video coming up soon, because it's something that I do. But it is definitely not my primary mission, that I like to make stuff to be on camera.
Yeah, maybe not, but you're still a cog in the wheel now.
And that's where I love being a cog. A nice, strong cog that figures out what's wrong with all the other little pieces in the machine, so that the minute hand and the hour hand can continually turn and be on time, and everybody looks at it and go, man, that clock is awesome. I go, yeah, it's because it's got a good cog. That's where I'll be. The Maker Faire is always fun. I mean, I'm glad that Catherine was able to finally sway Tiffany. I mean, she and I talked about it. I mean, I wanted her to go. She just didn't want to have to pay for a ticket and then try to find someone to watch the kids.
Sure.
And I'm like, those are tiny reasons. Like, I want her to go because I want her to go. And now that,
whatever.
What's up?
Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying that, like, all of your wives are going to be there, and Bob's wife is going to be there, so she's going to be amongst friends. And so she's not just like, and not that it happened last time, that she did not follow me around by any means. She introduced me to so many people, because I'm the cog. And I was talking to somebody randomly, and she's like, oh, Josh, hey, have you met Simone? And so she was sitting there talking to Simone Yetch. And I'm like, nope, I haven't. And she'd been talking to her for about 10 minutes. Her and Laura Kampf were over there walking down the thing, going to get food together. And I'm like, I know those people.
Well, whatever happens at Maker Faire this year, we won't be going to Red Robin. That's the only difference.
Yes.
That Red Robin sucked.
Oh, it's the worst restaurant experience ever.
Well, I've learned from all of the things that we go to is that I go, hey, man, where's everybody going to eat? And then they say a place, and you go, do not go to that place.
Right.
We're going to the opposite of that place. Words to live by.
Call ahead and make sure they have enough help in the kitchen.
That breakfast place that we went to,
Yeah.
I remember the name of it.
Yep.
And I kind of don't want to broadcast the name of it.
Yep.
For fear of it becoming like another, hey, 30 people, let's all go to this breakfast place.
Yeah. That being said, we went to, after the night of the Red Robin incident, the last night we were there as a big group, I think it was Sunday or something, there was like 30 of us that invaded this Mexican restaurant. And it couldn't have been any more opposite of an experience than Red Robin. It was crazy good. For like, we had made a reservation, which means like we called like, hey, we're gonna have like 15 people there at like 5, and then here comes like 4:45. Hey, that we called earlier, the 15 is now going to be 25, and we're going to be there at 5:15. Okay, and then we call back at 5. Hey, it's going to, like, every 15 minutes, we increased it by, like, 50%. So by the end of it, like, we ended up being, like, an hour later, but we had, like, 40 people or something crazy.
Yep.
And it was, like, great service. We had basically the whole restaurant to ourselves. So I'd actually definitely want to go there again.
Was it a local place?
It was a
Like,
mom and pop family
like,
restaurant.
Who are all these people?
It was a family-owned, single, not chain Mexican restaurant right within walking distance.
Good.
Yeah, it was cool.
What do you mean, like the crowd?
Yeah.
Like the people in the crowd? It's all of the people. Like,
Yeah.
So this is how low-key and inclusive this whole thing is. So, like, think of all the people in the YouTube
You say
world.
low key. I've seen videos from Bay Area Make a Fair, and I'm like, wow, that is not. That
Like
is
the people
not
at
low-key.
Workbench Con, did you not go to dinner with everybody or what? No?
Oh.
Or did you spit on their shoes and run away?
No, I didn't spit on their shoes and run away. I mean, a lot of the food was there. It was just.
Oh, you had no reason to go. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put you in a thing. So you're walking around and you start talking to, say, whoever in your head, either Donovan or someone else listening at home, your favorite YouTuber X, right, just happens to be standing in a group talking with a bunch of people. And someone goes, man, I'm hungry, or it's around dinner time. And then you hear through the grapevine like, oh, maybe Evan and Caitlin are going to go to Olive Garden, or Joel Telling is going to go eat at In-N-Out Burger, or like, then I go, oh, well, we'll just all go there. And so the horde just kind of starts to like static cling toward whatever that notion is. And then all the Ubers and the Lyfts within like a 5-mile radius are all driven to random location that you kind of overheard that someone might be going to. So it's just the crowd, the snowball that starts to gather more snow as it rolls down the hill and eventually slams into the
Restaurant.
yeah, the restaurant with no notice.
I think it's going to be a little bit crazier this year too, because Making It has their panel that they're doing.
Yep.
Mark Rober is going to be there.
Mark Rober was there last year. I didn't get to meet Mark Rober.
So I found out that the girl that we are staying with in San Jose is friends with Mark Rober because they live in the same area. And I'm like, are you serious? She's like, yeah, you probably know this YouTube guy named Mark Rober. I'm like, wait, really? You know Mark Rober? She's like, you know Mark Rober? I'm like, who doesn't know Mark Rober? Like, yeah. So come to find out, they're friends.
So you could be awkwardly sitting at a Red Robin next to Mark Rober.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can go up to Mark Rober and be like, hey, Josh told me to talk to you about.
Josh told you to say nothing.
I've been talking to the guy that actually designed his glitter bomb to see if he's going to go there too. The guy that gets like no credit. They're like, oh yeah, Mark Rober built the thing. Not really. This other dude did that.
I heard you know the guy that helped him design the Super Soaker gun.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He glosses over a lot of the construction most of the time.
Wait, who helped him design the Super Soaker gun?
Bob did.
Bob.
He's got the world record. There's very few things hanging up anywhere, and the world record is hung up.
Mm-hmm.
This is the world's largest Super Soaker. Yeah. Bob has been trying to see if he can coax Alex Steele and Will Stelter into coming. So I want to hang out with him. Because now that he lives here in the States, he's a blacksmith on YouTube, for those who don't know Alex Steele.
I need to practice talking to people before then, apparently.
We'll just plug you straight in.
You've been practicing for the last couple of months on here.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's really easy. You guys are safe. You're just pixels on a screen. Get me in front of like actual people, and I turn into this dork. Apparently.
You know what? I'll confess something. Before we started doing this podcast, I still had a really hard time, just generally socializing with people, just because I don't generally like people in big social situations. But when I went to that meetup at Matter Hackers, I know it's because of doing the podcast and doing live talks in front of people that I felt a lot more comfortable going and starting conversations that I never was able to or even wanted to before.
It's awesome.
So that can work for you too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like for me, like the shirt, that's why I do the shirts and have people sign my shirts, because it forces me to talk to people.
It makes you seem like a little bit
Otherwise,
too much of a
I'd
groupie,
be
though.
that wallflower in the back, like with my little cheese and cracker plate, just like, man, this is so cool being here. I get to see all these people, but not talking to anybody. But like having that, like at Maker Faire, not Maker Faire, but at Workbench Con, like having that shirt and being like, hey, I don't have your autograph yet. Can I have your autograph? Like forced me to go up and talk to people that otherwise I would have been like, hi.
That's how the sticker started, though, too. Like, oh, do you have a sticker? Let me get your sticker. But that's kind of dead now.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Well, I mean, it is in a smaller way. It's not quite as crazy as it was.
So does the signature thing, do you think that makes you seem like a peer or like a fanboy? Or is it a step to maybe becoming a peer?
Well, I mean, how the whole thing started, like, is my mom actually got me into it. My mom got me into it. My mom got me into it, doing all of it because I've been very involved in like the arts ever since I was a little kid, and have been part of these productions and everything like that. And there's always a T-shirt with the productions. And my mom got me started, like when I was a little kid, to always get everybody's autograph from, who's ever in the production, because like there's not always a poster and there's not always a bill card, or there's not always a something, but there's always a T-shirt. There's always a T-shirt. And so that's just kind of been the habit. And then, like I was saying on this before, she took all those T-shirts of growing up and whatnot and made this huge memory quilt that is really cool. Like I can look at it and be like, hey, this like Nate and Chris and Betsy and Bob and Gandalf, or whoever, and remember all the people that were in there, whereas otherwise those memories would probably be lost as to who was involved in this big thing that happened in my life. And so that's the foundation of that practice. But admittedly, it probably makes me seem more like a fanboy than a peer. I don't consider myself a peer with anybody. So I'm kind of okay with that. But I don't know. For Maker Faire, I haven't decided yet whether or not I'm going to do that. I don't know. I'm still deciding.
Donovan, you're part of the club, right?
Yeah.
I know.
The moment that you get on that stage,
I continually have
really
to convince
fun.
myself that I am part of the club, but yeah.
Imposter syndrome, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, totally. That's what it is. It's imposter syndrome.
Maker Faire 3 years ago changed it for me, to maybe not quite feel that way anymore. When people actually, there wasn't a lot of people, but there were a few people who knew who I was, and that gave me some strange confidence at that time. Probably more than I should have had.
I need some strange
enough to make a fool out of myself.
Especially after today. Oh my gosh. That video that Wes sent out to everybody, it's like, hey, you should check this video out.
That's gonna be my geeking out, but we can share it.
Yeah,
okay?
we need to transition to that soon anyways.
Yeah, so let's geek out about that, dude.
No, I don't want to geek.
No, say it.
Make me feel terrible.
Good.
It was this, I don't even know the name of the guy. Wes sent out this message saying, hey, this guy just put out a video. It's his first video ever on YouTube. You should check it out.
It's Kodama Designs. Kodama Designs.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The production quality, the woodworking quality, the everything. And I was just like, this is this guy's first video? Are you serious? Like, he got more views in less than 2 weeks than I've gotten in 2 years. Right. I was just like, I can't compete with this.
He just has 159 subs, but he has 21,000 views on his first video. And he did that, a lot of it from, he made a Facebook ad, and I guess he described it just right. But he said it ended up getting flagged by like the ad review team or something like that, and they pulled it down because it was like driving people off platform or something. So he said like, oh yeah, that was kind of an interesting scenario. So I guess it kind of surged, and then they were like, no, you can't do that. I guess it broke some
It's a
terms or
bunch
something.
of crap from
Yeah.
Facebook.
Well, that's one thing about Facebook is that whenever we make a post and when we put out a new video, we don't link
Facebook
the
video.
YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
We link the website because Facebook doesn't like it if you drive stuff to YouTube. So we drive stuff to the website, which has a YouTube video on it.
Right.
Because that Facebook is for your grandparents.
Then you get an AdSense hit from the ads, possibly if you have a website from like Google, and then also the YouTube AdSense.
Yep.
But yeah, his name is Kodama Designs, so I definitely recommend you guys, whoever's listening, to check him out. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's inspiring and depressing simultaneously.
Fantastic video and build.
And
how he did some of the legs on the CNC machine, especially when they were like standing up.
Yeah, he had
like
a vertical clamp
freestanding.
for a CNC. And all the joinery he was doing with the CNC, so he was like carving dowels into the ends of the like legs. It was pretty cool. He was even doing dovetails and stuff. It's pretty neat. And his like way he shot it, it was like time lapse of, it was like going so fast you couldn't see the router. You just saw like the wood melting away and leaving the dovetails. Or the
it's kind of like the 3D print where you just see it like rise.
Yeah, it's like
this one's the opposite.
Rose.
It was,
it was
you
cool.
know, and fantastic video. Truly, just gorgeous, very well done video.
Oh, which on that note, if people use VCarve while they are seeing CNCing things, VCarve has a plugin now that will allow you to automatically make a dovetailed box that your CNC will cut.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yep. We did it the other day. So I was like, this is how we'll finally do dovetails on I like to make stuff. We'll let the robots do it.
So many people are going to lose their minds.
Well, I am geeking out about, actually, I am eating my words about what I'm geeking out about. I was not confident in Joaquin Phoenix's ability to play the Joker because I thought Heath Ledger should have been the Joker, close that book and move on to something else. But I saw the trailer for Joaquin Phoenix's Joker and it looked freaking great. It was kind of dark. I guess it's like a Joker origin story. I do not like clowns, admittedly. So part of me was like, ooh, that's super creepy. But I believed him from a trailer, and I'm excited to see that movie, even though it's going to be a little twisted.
Yep.
But I believed him from a trailer, and I believe somebody that I originally casted dispersions on. So Joaquin Phoenix, I apologize, just based on the trailer. Whole movie could be a stinker, but at least you got that 2 minutes correct. So I'm excited about seeing that movie. That didn't come out till what, like October or some garbage.
Yeah.
Which is still more trailers than, or more information than Endgame, and that's coming out this month.
I'm okay with that.
Me too.
There are no toys. I went to Target today.
That's not true.
There are it says Avengers toys. There's like, or Legos. Like, I'm sorry, Legos. Like, Legos usually spoil stuff. What do you mean? You're shaking your head at me.
They had action figures at my Target.
I didn't see any of those.
They had the thing that was almost probably a spoiler. I'm not going to say it, but I was like, really? Okay.
Oh, well, good. Our subpar Target is
Don't look
keeping
around too
the
much.
other alive.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see the last trailer that I saw.
Yeah.
But I'm getting excited about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm geeking out about something gaming related. GDC was a week, 2 weeks ago, and that's usually when like a lot of big reveals happen. And one of my favorite games is going the VR route, which is pretty exciting, although I won't have a way to play it. But No Man's Sky is going to be in VR, which is, I think it's a pretty cool thing. 'Cause I love the space exploration and the planet exploration of the game. So I'll have to live vicariously through YouTube videos and other people that have those systems.
Have they changed that game much since?
Yes. Yes. This might as well be No Man's Sky 3.0 at this point. They've done like 3 major updates, and after the second major update, I think is when I bought it, which is probably about a little bit over a year ago. And it's gotten better with every major update, and it's going multiplayer in the next update, which I don't really care about, but It's a slow paced game, but I kind of like the exploration. I like the the idea of being able to go to different planets, and there's no loading time. Basically, you go from space right into the atmosphere, and you land right on the planet. It's a fun change of pace for other types of action games.
Interesting. Yeah. I am geeking out about an app. I have an iPhone for my work phone, and I found this app called Paper, which is I like sketching stuff in notebooks and doing designs and clipping pictures out, gluing them in, and I got into the habit when I was in the filmmaking business and would make director's notebooks for the projects that we were working on. So I do that for my projects, and there's this app called Paper that is kind of like that. There's different notebooks, and you can choose which notebook you want to open, where there's like project or ideas or sketches or whatever. And then you open the notebook and you can flip through different pages, and there's different tools and different pens and ways to take pictures and clip them in there and do what I would do in real life just on my phone. I'm probably going to lose that phone when I get laid off next week. But for the meantime, I'm geeking out about that app because I think it's super cool. They don't have an Android variant as of yet, so it's only on the iOS. But I'm usually pretty skeptical about Notepad or note taking or drawing whatever apps for your phone. But this is the first one that I was like, I could use this. This is fantastic.
Very cool. All right, so we would love to hear from all of you. Go ahead and visit our website, makinggeeks.com. And right there on the contact page, that is where you can interact with us, ask us any questions, and make any suggestions for the show, especially if you're unable to join the live stream that we do every Thursday night. Right there is where you can kind of participate and kind of give a little bit back for anything that you want to say about the show. And on the homepage of the site, you can listen to all of our past episodes, including this one will be out this Saturday, and check out all of our guests we've had over the last, coming up on almost 3 years now, in a few months.
That's crazy.
So,
Wow.
It's right there on makinggeeks.com.
Cool. And of course, besides Making Geeks, the podcast, we are all on social media, whether Instagram or Twitter or otherwise. Sean can be found at Geek Builders. Wes can be found over at Geek Smithing. Josh can be found in different places, depending on what work you want to follow. He can find his personal stuff at the PI Workshop or stuff he does with Bob over at I Like to Make Stuff. And then my stuff can be found at Once Upon a Workbench.
And we'd like to give a shout out to our patrons at patreon.com/makinggeeks for their support to keep us running here on the show, including our top patron from C3D Prop Shop. Thank you so much for your support and all you guys. We appreciate it.
I forgot what I had to say. I completely drew a blank as to what I was supposed to be saying.
It's been 2 weeks, man.
Wow.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks to YouTube channel.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for everybody hanging out in the live chat. I said that part already. Maybe that's what screwed me up because I thought I said it. I said that in the beginning. Thank you for everybody in the live chat. If you want to hang out with us, it's 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time here in the U.S. Come be a part of the conversation. And if you're listening to this in the privacy of your own home, that comes out every Saturday to your podcast player of choice. And from all of us to all of you, we hope you have a fantastic week.
See you guys.
See ya.
It's nice to be together again.
Missed you. Together again. All right.